I actually want to start with a comment made by Morgan Ortagus, one of the U.S. envoys present in Beirut today, made Monday. She said Hezbollah does not represent the Lebanese people. Hezbollah, like the future movement, the Lebanese forces, all Lebanese political groups, has a large support base. Certainly those people that support them, feel that Hezbollah represents their interests. Do you think the Americans have a proper grasp on the realities of Lebanon?
Well, in terms of semantics, she's not totally wrong. With other words, Hezbollah is a popular political movement, political party, and militia with a power base in Lebanon. That power base represents one, albeit significant, but nonetheless one segment of Lebanese society. It doesn't represent the Lebanese as such. So in that sense, she's correct. But if she was implying that Hezbollah does not have a significant popular base, then obviously she would be incorrect.
Understood. Kind of in the same vein there, we heard Tom Barak, that's the second U.S. envoy that was there, today say that at some point Lebanon will need to speak to Israel. These are two countries, Israel and Lebanon, technically still at war, and Lebanon has very strong laws about its citizens even communicating with Israelis. We know that the Americans want to see more normalization agreements. This seems like the start of a forceful push. What's your take on it?
Well, I think it's clear that, first of all, Barak is right. Someday they will have to talk. The question, however, is on what terms and if we're anywhere close to the terms. And the answer to those questions is absolutely not. The United States, as part of the dealings over Hezbollah and southern Lebanon, as well as with regard to Syria, is pushing for the establishment of diplomatic relations between Lebanon and Syria on the one hand and Israel on the other. We're nowhere close to that, certainly not as long as we have the kind of conflict we have going on in the Middle East, and particularly in Gaza.
Another thing that we heard announced today when Tom Barak was speaking to journalists is he sort of announced what has been speculated in the news for the last couple of days, which is this American idea of an economic zone in southern Lebanon. Can I get your initial thoughts on that? I've seen some people liken it to Trump's Gaza Riviera plan. Obviously, there are people living in southern Lebanon. Where are they to go?
Well, there's a degree to that, a degree of truth in that, in the sense that this would be named after Trump, in fact. But what the thinking behind it is that part of Israel's demands in the negotiations is that those villages along the Lebanese-Israeli border that have been destroyed or have been evacuated not be repopulated. In other words, it would be like an extra buffer zone, although not militarily controlled by Israel, but a buffer zone on the Lebanese side of the border. And the proposition is to turn that buffer zone into an economic zone. The question is, what happens to the population that was living in those villages and whether they're going to go along with it or have a choice at all?
Yeah, absolutely. And, sir, we've talked here, I mean, the American plan as a whole, it sees Hezbollah disarming across Lebanon. It would also see Israel withdrawing and stopping its near daily attacks on the Lebanese territory. And then that other bit, which is really important here, is the Lebanese army sort of assuming, not sort of, fully assuming control over the Lebanese territory in ways that we really haven't seen in the last 4 or 5 decades. Do you see the Lebanese army in its current form as being able to handle that job, and how can the international community assist in bolstering them?
Well, clearly the Lebanese army is going to need a lot of support. It's going to need training, it's going to need arming, and it's going to also clearly have to be represented as the army of Lebanon. Now, as a matter of principle, states have a monopoly on violence, and it's an issue of instability if you have a military force in the country that's not controlled by the government, and certainly before the war, the latest war in Lebanon, was actually stronger than the national military force. That's a situation of imbalance. But to redress that balance, there has to be a political process. which includes Hezbollah, and there's going to have to be a strengthening of the Lebanese military.
All right. James Dorsey from the S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies in Singapore. Really appreciate you taking the time, sir.
Always a pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
All right. The Turkish